Guys, just if you were unable to attend class today or you missed for a field trip or whatever, I just wanted to make sure that we went over the synthesis paragraph. This was the theme of the out of LEQ slash DBQ lesson for today. So just to recap or review, we learned earlier after the thesis paragraph that we were going to have a contextualization paragraph. And if you remember, the contextualization paragraph is 3+ sentences right after the thesis in terms of how I'm teaching you how to do this. It addresses the context. It puts the context. If you remember, I used the visual of the Star Wars opening intro where the yellow print goes up the screen and kind of tells you what happened in the last movie and sets the stage for what the new movie is going to be about. All right, and so it's kind of like that, only it doesn't move, and the music isn't really as good. Anyway, it includes 3 or more detailed, specific, and relevant facts to help situate the argument historically. So, again, with the first essay that we did, the first LEQ, I would have mentioned the Dark Ages and how that led to the end of the Dark Ages, led into the Renaissance and development of the movement of humanism and this new age of skepticism where people started to question things and challenged the status quo, in particular the church's view on things such as science, scriptures, and papal corruption. And I gave the example of the status quo being Aristotle, obviously changing into new theories, people like Copernicus, people like Kepler challenging the old ways of Aristotle, and Galileo, shout out to him. And then also, like with Martin Luther, the papal corruption, people like Erasmus, in Praise of Folly, and Sir Thomas More in his book Utopia started to bring to light some of the abuses, and that's a good segue into what Martin Luther did with his 95 Thesis and the challenges that he furthered. So what's the synthesis paragraph? The synthesis paragraph goes at the end, if you have time. Now, note, if you have time, I'm going to teach you how to write this essay based off of the rubric so you get as many points as you possibly can. But, if you have a topic, you have an essay that you were pretty comfortable with and you were able to, within 20, 25 minutes, write a pretty good response, and you have time for a conclusion, that's what this really is. It's a conclusion. It's a fancy term for conclusion. But synthesis is a really important historical thinking skill where you have the innate ability to really fuse together all of your knowledge and all of your abilities in terms of the historical thinking skills to show superior understanding of the past. Really, you're just putting the icing on the cake, showing, hey, you get it, you understand, and you see patterns of continuity and change over time. You really understand what causes things to happen historically, and you can see patterns, as I said, and you can see trends. So that's really what you're trying to do if you have the time. And also, if you have the ability to do it. Not everybody is as strong as this as others. But as you guys get through the year, we're going to obviously add so much more information to your repertoire. It'll be easier for you to bring about synthesis in your essays as we gain more and more knowledge as we progress through the curriculum through the year. So anyway, it's 3 or more sentences, and it should contain a valid comparison of the subject of the DBQ or LEQ, in this case, the Reformation of Martin Luther, to a similar subject from another time period in European or world history. It can be a time period before, but a lot of times you do that in the contextualization. So I tend to usually use a historical period, time, or era after. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to try to explain how those 2 subjects have some type of similarity. Okay, so again, gives one specific factually accurate example from the comparison of time period to support the similarity. So if you're a little bit confused, what I did was I threw one together here for us for the first LEQ that we did in class. So I just went on to say Martin Luther's challenge to papal authority created a firestorm of change in Europe religiously, politically, and economically. The same theme of reform can be compared to the challenges made by a group of philosophers in the 18th century during the Age of Enlightenment. These philosophers, like Luther, challenged the status quo and pushed Western society in a new direction. Men like Voltaire viewed religious intolerance as a waste of time and lives. Politically, Montesquieu challenged the absolute authority and recommended a system of checks and balances for a more representative government. And Adam Smith challenged the suffocating economic policies of mercantilism and helped foster the growth of early capitalism and a free market economy. So again, just kind of comparing, a rebel or whatever you want to call him, a conservative revolutionary, and just the idea of standing up to the status quo or standing up to authority to bring about change. Being able to compare those to men in the Enlightenment in the 18th, or I'm sorry, 17th. No, I'm right. 18th century, 1700s is beneficial. So, hope that helps. And again, you can view this in the archives for the next time we have an LEQ, just to kind of remind yourself. So, all right, thanks. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.